Hey everyone, so today I wanted to come on and talk about how to measure success. I think this one's a hard topic because if you had asked me what or how I measured success 10 years ago, it would be different than what I'm going to talk about now. Life does that to us. We learn a lot of things, we gain wisdom from stuff, we experience life in a different way. We have different trials and different moments of wisdom and clarity and all of this stuff, and that's part of our sanctification process and learning more about Christ and relying on Him in different ways and having moments in time that really open our heart and our mind up to what is truly valuable to us. And so I think this question is going to be a little bit different for all of us because we all have difference of opinions. We all have different values. We all have different things that really make us who we are and keep us grounded in that. And so this is going to be more of a guide of how you should measure your success because it's not going to look the same for all of us. And so for me, I think coming out of school and out of college and, knowing that I needed to start my own life and be on my own, and I was engaged by the time I graduated with my bachelor's degree, so I knew I was facing getting married and starting our own home and all of this stuff. And so for me, a measure of success was very much tied to how well I was doing in life, aka material things, job title. And yes, I knew Christ then and I was a believer, and still I think what in that time of my life, what success meant to me then very much had to do with extrinsic things in my life, extrinsic labels and things that you could put on my life. That's what made me feel solid in who I was, right? And of course, as I've gotten older, I've gotten wiser because the things of this world are not lasting. The things of this world are not going to do anything but except turn to dust. The things of this world don't make a hill of beans when it comes to what's inside your heart, what makes you who you are, the unique skills and things God has given you, and whether you're using those or not, because all of us are different. And so a big eye-opener for me too was an obvious answer, or is an obvious situation, is having children. That really opened my eyes to what success meant in my life. And success really started to disassociate itself from material things and from titles and from money and things that are really just on the outside, right? And so I've had to learn to train my brain differently and disassociating that, because once I had children, to me, what the measure of success is the type of children that I raise, the legacy I leave in them. There's no amount of money, there's no amount of material objects, there's no type of material object or title I could earn that's going to have a lasting impact on this world. Nothing. The only thing that could possibly have a lasting impact is the legacy I teach my children, and specifically the legacy of God, and them carrying that into their children, because the only thing that makes this world work and function are human beings, not material objects that we can all earn money to purchase. You hear the phrase, you can always earn more money. What is money? You can always get more of it. And so I think a lot of success in our culture, this isn't anything new, or I'm not saying anything revolutionary. I think we all know that money is a huge driver of people's motivations, and titles that they have, and cars they drive, and houses they live in, and things that they buy, and trips that they take. That holds a lot of value to people. And when we are on social media all the time and we're comparing our lives to other people, and we're comparing their status and their title and the type of job that they have and all these little elements, we make a judgment in our mind. Okay, is this person successful? Yes or no? And many times we don't know anything about that person. So our only measure that we're saying they're successful on or not is based on their appearance, based on what they have materialistically, what we can see, not what's going on inside of them, not what's going on up here or in their heart or the ripple effect of their life yet, because we can't see all of those things. And so I want to encourage you that the way I've learned to measure success has changed, and it's a lot more life-giving, because the way I measure success now is focusing on my legacy and my children, and that the linchpin of that is knowing God, serving God, and being an example of Christ for my children to learn from, and for those that are in my life, and that God puts in my life for a reason, and to cross my path. And so it's really about learning, I think, for all of us. I think we can all shift our measure of success and change it from extrinsic things to internal things. And understanding that the only thing that's lasting is the way we make people feel, the way we show up in manners that are impactful to someone's life. And none of that hinges on how much money you make, or the clothes you wear, or the trips you take, or the gadgets you buy. There's no thing that can correctly portray your success in life, because success in life is really an immeasurable litmus test. It's an immeasurable limit, because success is not found in material objects. And so learning that my success isn't associated with the title I have, or the following I have, or the amount of objects I have. Objects can die in a fire in a 2-minute ordeal, right? Like, that means nothing. Even titles that we have, those really don't mean anything. Some of the most successful people are the people that make the biggest impact, and some of those people don't have any formal education. They just have passion and a skill and a talent that God created in them that has put them into this level of influence and impact on the world in a positive way, right? So you could even argue that, like, none of that matters. Degrees and all that stuff doesn't matter. And I'm not saying we shouldn't follow these things, or pursue certain titles, or pursue promotions, or work hard. But it's really not the title that's measuring your success. It's the influence and the change within you that is the success story. Because ancillary things can all be taken away, right? Your title at your company can be taken away. Your success financially can be taken away. All of these elements. So what is important to you? What do you value? And I think when we think about our life, is it successful or is it not successful? We have to really consider, what are we measuring that against? Are we measuring it against external things, or are you measuring it against internal factors? Hold on, guys. Hey guys, you guys need to be quiet. Or are you measuring it based on, are you looking at success as a whole in your life? Because we're not all going to have a balanced life. So you might feel unsuccessful because there's one piece of the puzzle, so to speak, that isn't in order or isn't working correctly. But we're a lot more faceted than that. And we're never going to have a perfect life. So that is not a measure of success. How perfect your life is not a measure of success. And the perfection of your appearance and what people assume about you or think about you, that is not a measure of success. And so we really have to get down to the nuts and bolts of, what do we value? What are we passionate about? Are we utilizing those things? Are we seeking Christ first? Are we working in the acknowledgement that He is priority, and that everything that He has done for us is outflowing into our life as a whole? And so for me, that's really what I've had to come back to. Yes, I have a lot of ambitions. Yes, I have a lot of goals. Yes, I have a lot of dreams and accomplishments that are external that I want to reach. But what I've had to learn is that none of that could ever happen. And am I just going to be deemed unsuccessful? Am I just going to feel inferior my whole life, or feel like I haven't measured up? So what is the measure? And what I've really come to find peace over and peace about is that success is measured by my love for Christ and His priority and position in my life. And if I'm putting Him at the helm, at the position that He deserves to be, the rest of my life makes perfect sense, even when things are not perfect. Because whatever trial or struggle or aggravation or frustration or disappointment I'm facing, I am facing it with Christ in that with me, and I'm learning more about him, and I'm learning more about myself, and my relationships with him as a whole is really, expanding. And that's the beauty of it. And that's what I've come to find, is that anytime I'm getting down on myself or feeling like I'm not measuring up or I'm not meeting the standard or I'm not successful, it's like, well, what am I measuring that against? Because if I'm loving Christ to the best of my ability every day, if I'm focused on him, that is enough. That is enough. And I'm having to retrain my brain to understand that that is enough. Because anytime I've put too much stock in getting this project complete, reaching this goal, having this level of external value that the world has set on me to try to push for, I'm really not happy. I'm really just feeling overwhelmed and burdened and hardened by that having to determine if I'm successful or not. Because hold on one second, I'm talking. Okay, hold on one second. Because that is always going to let me down. All of those factors are always going to let me down. But the love of Christ is not ever going to. And his provision of my life will never. It may not be hard. It may not be easy. It may be hard. But that is always a constant. And that is always a stability. And in his eyes, I've already hit that perfection. I've already gotten to that point of, watch out, babe. I've already gotten to that point of understanding that I'm loved and I am enough. And if I'm serving him first, then the rest is following the way it needs to. So success is a hard one because it's very subjective to our own internal dialogue about our own thoughts about ourselves, our own feelings about the circumstance of our life. But I challenge you to really focus on what do you really value? Sure, you could want a certain title at your job. Sure, you could want a certain amount of money in your savings account, or blah, 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 the list goes on. But is that really what you value? Is that the sum of your heart? Most of us, that isn't. Most of what is in our heart isn't just to have a big house, or to have a certain title at a job, or to have X amount of dollars in the bank, or to wear a certain brand of clothing, or go on a certain trip, or drive a certain car. Like, that's really truly not what we value. It would be nice, but it's not what we value. And so in determining your life, are you living up to your values? Are you holding to your beliefs? Are you pursuing the passions that you were given? Because you have a passion for that for a reason. So are you squelching that? Are you not living up to your God-given potential? Are you not focusing and putting in priority what truly matters? Because if you're not, you're going to feel imbalanced and you're unbalanced, and you're also going to feel like you're not measuring up. And you're going to be chasing this constant thing, this constant level, this constant point that is ever changing, because there's always going to be people that have more money than you, more clothes than you, a bigger house than you, a nicer car than you, a better title than you, a better promotion than you. The list goes on. You'll never get to a pinnacle with that. You'll never get to a pinnacle with external things. But you can get to a point of peace and contentment that pushes you to reach goals even more than you ever imagined, because the weight of what you're putting your life's work on is on Christ. And his strength and his capability is immeasurable. It's limitless. And so you always hear these stories of people who have, didn't know what they were going to do with their life, or had a breaking point and left everything and put it all away, and then pursued this because I felt like God was calling me to do that. And then boom, their life went to a totally different point and level and form and existence and all of that stuff. And their entire life changed forever. And when you talk to them, they say, I thought I was successful then, or I thought I had it all then. And it's, and their eyes have been opened because they're in line with what their heart truly values and what God is truly calling them to do. And it's an amazing point when you get to that point. And when you can let all the external value systems that this world has created for us to try and live by, when you can get rid of all that and let all of that go, you're not burdened by that anymore. You don't feel like you have to stay in this soul-sucking job anymore just because it gives you this certain level of authority, you think, right? Or this certain paycheck you have, or this certain bank account, or whatever the circumstances. That is truly living free. And the measure of your success isn't found in all these things that could poof be gone at any moment, because we don't control all of those external factors, right? What we control is what we're doing up here and what we're doing in our heart. That's what we're controlling, and that is the life of freedom and peace that we get through serving Christ and his position in our life being in the rightful place and priority that it needs to be. And that's how you can measure your success. And so I've just been on this journey, and I don't have it perfected, but to talk about the release, and I actually have chill bumps on my arms just talking about it, because when you can let go of all of the things that the world tells us matters, when sometimes and in a lot of cases in our heart we really don't care about it, but we're just going through all the motions, we're going through all the plug and play of what society tells us to do, because we're caught in the trap, right, of believing that this is what matters. Anything could happen to our situation at any point because we're not in control of it. So living in the mindset and the heart life that, all these things outside of me are what matters, as in like, my job title, my bank account, all these ancillary things. When we can live free from that, the joy that you have in your heart is just abundance. It's just abundant. And your success becomes just a story of your salvation and a story of God working through your life. And that is priceless, and that is wonderful, and that is freely living and not giving a rip about all this other stuff, when oftentimes we really don't in our heart of hearts care about all that stuff. We're just caught in the trap of believing that it's what matters when it really doesn't. So I just want to encourage you guys to think about how you're measuring success. What is your test for that? Is it your heart and what you truly value as a human, as a person of Christ? Or are you measuring success based on all these extrinsic, external things that are completely really not in your control, even if you earn that promotion or earn that spot or got all that money? Because something catastrophic could happen and it could all be gone. So I just want to encourage you guys that success is not always what we think it is. And I want to challenge you on that and challenge your definition of success. And if you can flip your mindset about it and flip your thinking about it, you're going to live a lot more joyful hearted life. And that's a gift that God offers all of us. That's all I have for you today. Be looking out for the new episode this week of The Thought Vault. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye for now.